Good morning. Hello, can you hear me?
All to my mother's wonderful cooking.
Way to go,
Val, just a minute, we're gonna get your microphone.
This has got to be the 5th or 6th birthday party I've enjoyed this week. I have been very spoiled, and I've had a wonderful life. The only regret I have is that my twin brother is not here to enjoy it with me. But I have 3 other brothers. One of them you may have known, John. John last month also turned 100, and I have 2 more brothers in their 90s who are approaching 100. And I have to say, I credit it all to my mother's wonderful cooking.
Yeah. Way to go, Mom.
Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. We welcome all those who have joined us in the sanctuary this morning on this chilly morning, and those who are watching us all cozied up online. Those watching online have been muted, but we ask those in the sanctuary to be sure your phones are in worship mode unless you're using your phone to access our special hearing system. We thank all those who are helping in some way with our service this morning. Val Ramsay, who will deliver our homily, music ministers Rachel Derry, Cindy Carey, and our own choir, ushers Jean Jacobs and Catherine Schuler, worship assistants Sue and Ian Johnstone, and our tech team back there with Carlos. There's a lot of them back there, thank goodness. My name is Pat Dickinson. My pronouns are she, her, and I will be your service leader this morning. We're glad that Reverend Danny's feeling well enough to join us again this morning. Thank you, Rev. Very good to have you back. I think she plans to hang out with the children this morning because Jenny is away. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are in your journey of faith or search for meaning, today you are one of us and you are welcome in this house of worship. Our mission at First Unitarian is to nurture one another, to serve the community, and to inspire action that heals the world. We acknowledge that we are not the first people on this land, and we are grateful for the stewardship of the original people who have preserved this place for our generation. We know we have not always honored our responsibility in this regard, and we seek to be more respectful stewards of this place for those who follow. It is especially fitting this morning that we begin today's service with this land acknowledgement, as there is much we can learn from the teachings of our first people. They taught us not only to respect the land, but also to honor our elders as keepers of knowledge, and to remember and respect our ancestors. So we are following in their wise footsteps with this service, in which Val Ramsay will share what she has learned living in Ontario through the past century. Today is part 2 of this homily, which Val began in July of the past year. But when you're 102, it's hard to squeeze your life into one 20-minute homily, never mind 2 20-minute homilies. So we've invited her back to continue her story this morning. In fact, we've built this service around various gifts that Val has provided throughout her life. One of the choir selections is Earth and Sky, which is a poem of Val's that Rachel put to music, and I will be reading one of Val's poems as the meditation. And there's also a little surprise at the story for all ages that Val doesn't know about. Val was born in 1923 in Thorold, Ontario. Her father was a World War I veteran with Welsh heritage, and her mother was from an Irish Catholic/Protestant background. She had the privilege of attending a one-room school in Beaver Dams with her siblings, all boys, including her twin brothers, and her brother John, who attends this service when he was able. She married a Jewish man with which she had 2 very successful children, her daughter Talia, who married a Peruvian doctor and became a child psychiatrist in Peru, and her son Peter, who was a lawyer representing the provincial government in both electrical and nuclear power. She recently told me that her daughter, along with Val's 2 granddaughters, all of whom speak Spanish, have relocated to Barcelona, Spain. We look forward to hearing what Val has learned over the past century, living in this corner of Canada. And we'll now listen to our prelude. Our chalices are a reminder of the light and hope of our faith, and we light them each time we gather to remind us of the sacredness of our time together. I've asked Monica, who is a co-chair with Beverly Horton of the Dismantling Barriers team, formerly the 8th Principal team, to light our chalices this morning. Monica asked me to use these special chalice lighting words in light of what is happening in Minneapolis and throughout the United States. Her request seemed very appropriate since our monthly theme is practicing resistance. These words come from the January 2026 issue of an online newsletter called Uplift, uplifting the LGBTQ plus experience within Unitarian Universalism and beyond. We light these chalices at the threshold of a new year, aware that beginnings are rarely clean. What we carry did not just fade when the calendar changed. This flame is not a signal that everything will be different now. It does not promise resolution. It simply names that we are here together, just as our choir just sang, still willing to stand in relationship even when the work is slow, when the path is unclear, and when justice asks more patience than certainty. We light these chalices to honor the quiet courage of people who refuse to disappear from one another's lives even when the world is hard. May these lights become a reflection of trust that what has begun among us cannot simply be undone, and that the long work of love continues because we choose, again, to carry it together. Please join me in reciting our unison chalice lighting words, which are projected on the wall. May this flame be our light of friendship and love. Thank you, Monica. Our story for all ages is not really a story as in book form this morning, but rather a recent memory that J.P. Morrison captured for us on video. It's appropriate for all ages because it's true, no matter what age you are, everyone loves birthdays. So here's our birthday video for all ages.
Val, just a minute, we're gonna get you a microphone.
Microphone down. Microphone down. Rather than Val.
This has got to be the 5th or 6th birthday party I've enjoyed this week. I have been very spoiled, and I've had a wonderful life. The only regret I have is that my twin brother is not here to enjoy it with me. But I have 3 other brothers. One of them you may have known, John. John last month also turned 100. And I have 2 more brothers in their 90s who are approaching 100. And I have to say, I credit it all to my mother's wonderful cooking.
Way to go, Mom!
offering is a reminder of the spirit of generosity that is at the heart of our religious community. By sharing our financial resources, we ensure the continued existence of this church, and our ushers will now collect our offering while we listen to our choir sing Earth and Sky, I think.
My love is true.
Thank you for your gifts to each other and to our community. They are very much appreciated. And thank you, Val, for that lovely poem, Rachel, for the lovely rendition in the choir, for beautiful, beautiful singing of that. Thank you so much. This is our time for our meditation in words, followed by a moment of silence, after which you are invited to light a candle of joy, sorrow, or gratitude while we listen to our music. Prepare to hear these words, which is a poem written by Val in 1980 in response to a Globe and Mail article by Bob McDonald, I think CBC's Bob McDonald, which stated, "Venus has continents without oceans, thunderstorms without water." Val's poem is entitled, "Prayer for the Earth." Venus, how long you've deceived us, wasting 1,000 poets' praises, probes into your sulfurous gases reveal thunder without rain, oceans without water, Everests without snow. Send astronauts afar, but let us stay-at-homes keep Earth's gardens tended, just in case this planet's our only possible home. Make this globe a showcase, in case there are no other worlds to settle, in case no better spheres are found. Preserve this place. Make ready to welcome home future weary travelers from space who discover nowhere else to roam, no other worlds to inhabit. Save the forest, seas, and skies, Earth's our only paradise. Part of building a nurture community includes sharing our joys and sorrows. We don't have any joys and sorrows to share this morning, but we know there are sorrows among us too tender to share, and we know there are joys among us too. We hold those who may be holding sorrows with a reminder that we are never alone, and we celebrate the joys among us and rejoice the happiness that flows through our community. And this morning we can't do better than to offer our gratitude to Val for all the contributions she's made to us and to our community over the years she's been with us. If you would like to have a joy or sorrow or gratitude shared with the larger congregation during Sunday services, you can do so by clicking the link on our church's homepage or by writing something in the binder at the side of the sanctuary before the service begins. We'll now hear the words of wisdom from our beloved Val Ramsay.
Thank you for hearing me again. I already spoken to you about my pioneer family history, but now we're at June 94, 45. After 6 years of war, there's peace. And my 2 brothers have been discharged for the Army, and the 3 of us are meeting in Toronto, very crowded with discharged troops. Twin brother George, a signals officer, came with a trunkload of the newest electronics, rented a sunroom, and set him up with an automatic heat, alarm, lights, and morning coffee. He returned to engineering physics in Toronto and summers at Chalk River. My brother John entered forestry and received from the government an education pension of $60 a month. And with that, that was his total fee to join a fraternity for bed and food. I quit my office job at a hand grenade factory where I received $80 a month taxed and entered the first Canadian 2-year course in occupational therapy for young women. The only room I could find was in a cold attic where I had to leave the door open, and it only had a bed, no desk or chair. For this occupational therapy was only $200 a year. Compare that with present university fees. And I didn't have the money, and my father paid for it. I took my meals at the campus cooperative. And for self-care, there was a wonderful Lady Eaton's Club for girls. We could bath and shampoo and tidy ourselves up. The U of T campus for us OTs was abandoned. 2 long Army barracks, heat only at one end, so arrive early for classes. Our director, Miss Levicomte, had 100 girls to look after. We shared classes with the meds, dentists, physios, all mostly men. First class were in a smelly cadaver labs. Lectures were with skeletons and also physiology, psychology, psychiatry, and sociology. Our women craft instructors were in drawing, painting, glove making, basketry weaving, and looms. The male instructors we had all were at the local technical schools,
And then we had to actually do woodwork, metalwork, pottery, and bookbinding. Loved bookbinding, and the instructor invited me for extra classes on Saturday morning. But when I got there, all he wanted to do was paw me, so I never went back. That summer, we were all not allowed to enjoy the summer or earn money, but we had to intern at the various hospitals, especially those offering free keep and meals, which ended up to be mostly Ontario's mental health hospitals. 3 of us interned at 999 King Street, West Georgia, Toronto, a famous, notorious retention house. There we reserved craft workshops, and as especially amazingly an operation to prevent the increase of venereal diseases by raising a patient's temperature to the maximum tolerable. And we 3 observed that there was another ward of young Northern Ontario women who had given birth, their babies given for adoption, and then why were the mothers kept in a mental institution? Years later, I learned that the Catholic Church lodged homeless girls to work in a church-run commercial laundry. Year 2, I was able to become a resident at Rochdale Student Co-op, where I previously had meals. Ended up with 4 girls in a large room. Our obligations were to help the cook, clean our rooms, attend meetings, and the meetings were every Friday night, games first Saturday, then amateur night, then dance, and then at the end of the month, the business meeting. Our lectures continued in all the same subjects. And we had the pleasure of touring Toronto hospitals, Toronto General Hospital and Christie Street Hospital, and we were advised to hold doors open for white coats. That's how the doctors were honored. And we were given, when we finished our 2nd year, paper patterns to make our own uniforms, which were green. The 2nd year, 3 of us interned at Calgary's Colonel Belcher's Military Hospital with a wonderful roof garden where all levels of staff and patients mixed, very liberal compared to Toronto. And we had, sorry, I'm mixed up here. My first job was at Hamilton TB San, where crafts and projects and knitting was often taken to the patients. And from there, we also had a question. Why were Inuit babies with TB brought from their families in the north and from their language and culture to Hamilton for treatment? Could our government not build a hospital in the north? While living at Rochdale Co-op, I met my first husband, Martin Landman, who was then my boyfriend. His family were German Jews from Mannheim, Germany. And they came from, after 2 years in Amsterdam, to Toronto. Their wealth came from the fact their grandmother Herbst had designed a radical new brassiere. Her father built a 4-story building serviced with hundreds of women with Singer sewing machines. They expanded their wealth in the community. Their first daughter, Lenny, attended Swiss finishing school and married Otto Wackenheim, a tobacco trader who eventually came even richer than the rest of the family. The 2 sons joined the Lagnon Brock Company. Their daughter, Julie, attended, and the parents called her their little mistake, having been born later. She attended Heidelberg University while she met a fellow student, William Landman, a war hero who had won equivalent to the Victoria Cross. But William smartly made Julie pregnant and was able to enter the wealthy family, ending up himself with a home with 2 servants, a nursemaid for their new son Rudolph, and the latest car and chauffeur. Julie learned to drive. William, the poor man, never drove. These 4 newly rich families learned to ski in Switzerland and swim on Holland's beaches. 1934, Hitler threatened. The Wackenheims, tobacco men, fled to Amsterdam, then to New York. The 2 Herb sons emigrated to Toronto. The Landmans, my husband's family, first went to Amsterdam, where the boys learned to speak Dutch, and then at the very last summer to London, where they had to surrender one of the 3 gold bars, the value of their factory. They had to surrender 1 gold bar to the Canadian consul before he admitted them to go to Canada. On ship, with all their worldly goods, they crossed the ocean, and then, arriving in Canada in September 1939, Julie, the mother, went to the CNE and bought a sewing machine, but not having really learned, a spoiled girl, I've discovered that she did not really know how to sew. Before leaving Germany, grandfather Herbst, the richest man in Mannheim, bought a private hunting area in the Black Forest, where he had a lodge and a gameskeeper and his wife. Miraculously, in 1954, when my husband Martin and I were married, we took a trip to Europe and found that hunting lodge and the couple still there. They cried tremendously on seeing, never thinking they'd see again a Jew surviving. In the 1946, Martin, a non-resident of Rochdale, proposed it to me. We marry in 1949, quietly. Our first apartment is 2 rooms upstairs with a kitchen and a sunroom with a bed. There were 2 other roomers with whom we shared the bathroom. Fortunately, in the spring of 1950, my in-laws decided to return to Europe to attempt to recollect their art collection, which was stored in the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. By fall, my husband and I were able to rent an apartment in Willowdale. And then my husband was working at Benson & Hedges advertising agency in Toronto, and I got a nursery school job at the Toronto city limits. And we started to create a group of friends, mostly from my husband's acquaintances at the CBC radio and TV. My husband treated me to many car trips to the best hotels in Ottawa, Montreal, and Quebec City. But in the New York City, we stayed with the rich Wackenheim tobacco dealers at their residence on Central Park West. Lenny took me shopping to the top exclusive floor at Bergdorf Goodman's and bought me a full wool dress with white collar and cuffs that made me look like a schoolgirl. I was 28 years old. Soon after marrying, I noticed there was an obvious tension between my husband and his mother. Apparently, she was very jealous of the fact that in his youth, he very much preferred his caregiver to his own mother, and was extremely resentful when his mother dismissed his caregiver when he came home the first day of school. And within no time, my mother-in-law was demanding grandchildren. And this was difficult for me because my husband was not in a hurry. Martin's best friend Albert married my cousin Margaret, who was an extremely selfish woman, and they took advantage of us arriving for meals, wrecking our car, for which my mother-in-law replaced. Now, the better part. My children. Talia Jean grew up a brilliant little girl, advanced in school, and left with a girlfriend who spoke Portuguese to tour South America and visiting all the universities in South America. They ended up in Peru, my daughter meeting a medical student, poor. And she She came home for a year, returned to Peru and married him and entered medical school herself, during which time she bore 2 children, 2 boys. While my daughter was only 2 years old, my husband and I took a 4-month trip to Europe. And on the shipboard, we met Nini and Walter Blindstrom, who became our lifelong friends as long as they lived. Returning from Europe, I lost a baby and was very depressed because my husband had given the body for medical research, and I visualized it being in a bottle in a lab. Soon my in-laws gave us a house, a new house for ourselves. But Martin was very unskilled at house maintenance and gardening and hired help. In 1958, my son Peter Clive was born. And my reward for my in-laws for bearing a son was to receive Grandma's old car, gray, everything was gray, and I took it out and had it painted bright yellow. Obviously, she was very angry with me. In 1960, my husband Martin quit his job. I never knew whether he'd been fired at E.W. Reynolds. And so I divorced him, receiving no alimony because he was unemployed. The in-laws offered me $300 a month if I brought the children to Sunday dinner every week. Martin, my former husband, remarried, soon had a child, and a new 4-story midtown house from his parents. And then my in-laws proposed that I sell my house, which they had given us, that I get a job, rent one of their apartments. Grandma would bring up the kids. Of course, I refused such an unkind offer. In our house, they had established all the art they had reclaimed from Germany or stored in the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. One of the pieces of art was missed by the removers behind a door in my house. I sold it later for $100,000. I invested the money with Jack Waters, who some of you may remember from this church, and he increased my $100,000 up to $200,000 before the 1980s crash. I was set up. I remarried to the assistant director of education here in Wentworth County, but that was a mistake. He was a male chauvinist man. I'd annoyed him by starting work at St. Peter's Hospital. a convalescent hospital in East Hamilton. I was hired by Hetty Long, who later became Hetty Mogford, the head OT there, because I had often met her at conferences in Toronto, because I had continued attending OT meetings and paying my annual dues. The contractor hired to build a new St. Peter's brought it in underestimate and was hired by the board as the head administrator. And he started firing department heads and hiring younger, newer ones at less pay. When he got to dealing with the unionized employees, they went on strike. He was fired, and our newest OT, a spunky girl, stood up in the cafeteria and told him off in a very loud voice. I need a drink. My daughter Talia toured South America, I told you, and married the medic off there. She had two sons while married to her first husband, and her second was a psychiatrist like herself, and by which she had two girls. All three of them, my daughter now retired, all three of them are living in Barcelona. Miraculously, survivors of the German Holocaust, Jewish survivors up to the third generation are entitled to pensions and citizenship in Germany. And now those three women, my daughter and her two daughters, are European citizens entitled to all the social service privileges of that. So that was one of the great victories of the Jewish people after the Second World War. My son, Peter Clive, is retired now and was an English and French-speaking lawyer for Ontario's hydro and atomic plants. He's divorced, but still very good friends with his wife. Their two daughters, Anna is trying for her university in physics at an American university. Her privileges removed. Her parents were asked to pay her fees, but the university came forward generously and said they'd let her attend without government support. My brother George, my twin, died at 88 years. John, the forester, with 5 children, and had established a ski run in White River, and was the first, as I mentioned before, to fall down and break a leg. John was famous for 3 times with 2 companions crossing the Atlantic Ocean by a small sailboat. My brother Alan, the union representative for all the Bell Telephone employees in the Niagara district, who turned out to be a wonderfully wonderful man. He went to Vietnam and rescued a whole family and brought them to Canada, to the United States, where they all survived wonderfully and progressed. And now that family is looking after Alan, that he's an old man. David, my youngest brother, was a high school teacher, now a widower with one son. I survived. And I thank you all for honoring me by asking me to appear twice here to speak to you. I'm okay at 102. Thank you. Thank you all for being such good friends to me. I really do love this as my home.
Thank you, Val. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Thank you. What can I say? We're going to finish now with our hymn, number 300, with heart and mind. Thank you. It's in the gray hymnal. Finish with our benediction and then ask you to remain seated for our postlude. Our benediction is a reading from our hymnal, number 682, and it comes from the Navajo Indians of North America. Beauty is before me, and beauty behind me. Above me and below me hovers the beautiful. I am surrounded by it. I am immersed in it. In my youth, I am aware of it, and in old age I shall walk quietly the beautiful trail. In beauty it is begun, in beauty it is ended. And we thank you, Val, for the beauty that you have shared with us today.